Warning, 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 warning. A new sheriff is in town. Y'all know Donald Trump has been sworn in as president and he has signed over 100 executive orders, many of them having to do with immigration. Listen, it's time that you straighten up and fly right if you can. Like my granny said, it's best to be good, but if you can't be good, be careful. Well, but it's best to be good. These ain't the times to be playing around. Everybody who falls under the banner of immigrant is at question right now. Even those who hold citizenship, because there are reasons to revoke your citizenship that did not exist before. But this particular video right here is about another situation of a shining example of the first type of Jamaicans to be deported from the United States of America under this new Donald Trump immigration regiment. Starting this here 2025, January 21st. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, the big bad feared ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations, ERO, officers arrested a Jamaican citizen by the name of Lloyd Campbell. They arrested him back in February 14th of 2024. Campbell is an unlawfully present Jamaican national according to ICE paperwork. He had been released 7 times from local law enforcement custody while he was on an active immigration detainer due to New York City's sanctuary policies. So there were laws in place already that were pissing people like Donald Trump off and others as well. Could you imagine, right? You're here illegally already in the people's country and you're trying to stay, but you just won't be good. It's like that badass kid that you can't wait to send home to their parents and tell their parents, don't send this kid back to my house because I can't control him. I can't talk to him. He breaks everything. He punches the other kids. He's fighting. He's disrespectful. This guy got caught 7 times by local police for activities that he was involved with in these streets. And he was still released 7 times. I know they say 7 times rise, 7 times fall, 7 times fall, 8 times rise or whatever. But good God, have some decorum about yourself. I mean, if you get in trouble once, right, and you're like, damn, I gotta fix up. But 7 times? Anyways, Campbell had repeatedly been arrested for local criminal charges. And even though ICE lodged a detainer more than, get this, more than half a dozen times, ICE lodged a detainer for him, he was still allowed back on these New York City streets so he could re-offend. And re-offend he did, said Thomas R. Decker, the field officer director for the ERO New York. What more needs to be said about the way that sanctuary city police policies continue to shield criminal aliens? See, this is a big issue, and this was a big issue during the election, and I firmly believe that this is one of, if not the leading cause of why Donald Trump won the election. Not only were we letting in a lot of people, undocumented immigrants, which to some extent and to some people, it's cool. But sanctuary cities were seeing a spike in their crime rate, and citizens were being murdered and molested and hurt, harmed. You know, gangs were forming in cities, these types of things, taking over blocks and buildings. And these were individuals like this particular individual, held and released by the police 7 times without prosecution, just right back on the streets. And according to the ERO director, he said, what more needs to be said about the way that these sanctuary city policies continue to shield these criminal aliens? A normal citizen won't get that privilege to commit crimes and be released 7 times. He said that what is known is that even with immense public scrutiny, ICE continues to prioritize the safety of New Yorkers, law-abiding citizens and residents. Clearly, our priorities are in better order than the politicians who run this city. The only problem was Donald Trump had not taken office yet, so ICE was pretty much powerless at this point. Under the Biden administration, ICE was pretty much neutralized. So you had all these ICE officers who really didn't have much work to do. Their hands were tied. But now that Donald Trump has taken office, ICE is once again empowered, and not only are they empowered, they are more empowered than ever before. So people like this man, Lloyd Campbell, will be some of the first ones thrown out of the United States of America. So most recently, Campbell was arrested by New York Police Department for the charge of reckless endangerment in the first degree. ERO deportation officers lodged a detainer with the NYPD, New York Police Department, but it was not honored, and he was later released from custody. Previously, Campbell also pled guilty to 2 counts of disorderly conduct. To satisfy the original arrest charges of grand larceny in the 4th, property taken from persons, and grand larceny in the 4th. The value of the property was greater than $1,000. He jacked somebody for their shite. On February 14th, ERO officers arrested Campbell. This goes back from 2020 all the way up to 2024. He was just super active in these streets. Officers arrested Campbell in Brooklyn, New York, and he is currently detained in ICE custody pending removal proceedings before a federal immigration judge. Now, ICE removed or returned 267,000 aliens in the fiscal year of 2019 alone. That's a huge number, 267,000. And of course, they went to different nations. They went to Jamaica. They went back to Haiti. They went back to the Dominican Republic. They went back to, you name the countries, they went back to them. Of course, mostly what we call third world countries. ERO, the people who are responsible for arrest and removal, they arrested 143,000 aliens. That's more than 86% of whom had. Now, listen, I want you to wrap your mind around this number, right? 143,000 aliens arrested. More than 86% of the 143,000 had criminal convictions or had pending charges in a criminal court. So, when you hear Donald Trump say, we're being invaded by criminals, these countries are sending like their worst, I tend to not believe everything this man says, but argue with these numbers if you want to, because these are the numbers. 267,000 deported in 1 year. 143,000 aliens. Of the 143,000 arrested by ERO, which is another arm of ICE, but not ICE, of that 143,000, more than 86% had criminal convictions or were pending criminal charges in a criminal court. Golly. ICE put out a message and said that they're focused on removing public safety threats, such as convicted criminal aliens and gang members, as well as individuals who have violated our nation's immigration laws, such as those who illegally re-enter the country after they had been removed, deported, and immigration fugitives ordered removed by federal immigration judges. Sometimes the federal immigration judges hears a case and then says, you should be sent back to your country. They issue a removal and the person goes on a run. The removal is issued in New York. They grab a bus, have a friend drive them, however the case may be, head down to Florida, start a new life. So now they're running around all 50 states of the United States of America, which kind of makes it hard for them to get caught. Anytime they catch these people, they are priority on the list as well. Now, about detainers, because everybody is wondering, what's a detainer? And how did he get arrested and released 7 times, even though there was a detainer on him? Okay, so ICE lodges detainers on individuals who have been arrested on criminal charges and who ICE has probable cause to believe are removable aliens. The detainer basically asks the other law enforcement agencies like local police to notify ICE in advance of release. Don't release them before you notify us. Please notify us in advance of release if you're going to release him, and to maintain custody of the alien for a brief period of time so that ICE can come over there and take custody of that person in a safe and secure setting up on release from that agency's custody. In other words, ICE is just saying to the police, hey man, if you see this guy and you arrest him because he's active in your area, you're going to run into him eventually. You arrested him and let him go before. The next time you arrest him, just hold on to him for us, please. We'll come get him from you. However, local law enforcement was not mandatory for them to work with ICE agency under the Biden administration, so they would arrest them and they would let them go without notifying ICE. Therefore, they did not go into a immigration hold. All that is dead. Starting January 21st, 2025, all that is dead. There will be no more catch and release. If you are caught, you will remain in custody until you are deported. These are the words of Donald Trump, right? When law enforcement agencies fail to honor immigration detainers, like the one that kept this particular Jamaican being arrested and released 7 times, serious criminal offenders get let onto the streets, and it undermined ICE's ability to protect the public safety and to carry out its mission. Congress has established no process, requirement, or expectations directing ICE to seek a judicial warrant from already overburdened federal courts before taking custody of an alien on civil immigration violations. Now, this idea is simply a figment that was created by those who wish to undermine immigration enforcement and to excuse the ill-conceived practices of sanctuary jurisdictions that put politics before public safety. May I remind you, one of the leading headlines today is that there are no more safe spaces in the United States of America. In other words, there will no longer be any arrest and release. So these police officers, your local officers, are now mandated to work with ERO and ICE. That means they must hold you until ICE come gets you. Not only that, Donald Trump doubled down, signed his executive orders, and said yesterday in a speech that all safe spaces are now off limits. So all these sanctuary cities that kept telling people, come here, we will take care of you, we will help you, we will hide you. Where are you going to hide them? In the schools, in the church basements, wherever were considered safe spaces before are no longer safe spaces. Raids will happen in all these safe spaces moving forward. The order has been given. When law enforcement agencies don't honor ICE detainers, these individuals who often have significant criminal histories, they're released back to the streets, presenting a potential public safety threat. That's common sense, right? Any local jurisdiction thinking that refusing to cooperate with ICE will result in a decrease in local immigration enforcement is sadly mistaken. Local jurisdictions that choose to not cooperate with ICE are likely to see an increase in ICE enforcement activities in their area, as ICE, the agency, has no choice but to conduct more at-large arrest operations. So all these sanctuary cities that we have are going to now be flooded with ICE agents because they're refusing to cooperate, so ICE has to go in and extract. A consequence of ICE being forced to make more arrests on the streets is the agency is likely to encounter other unlawfully present foreign nationals that would not have been encountered had we been allowed to take custody of a criminal target within the confines of a local jail. So you have these politicians who are saying we're not going to comply with ICE because we support immigrations and immigrants, and because of them they are also instructing their local law enforcement officers to not deal with ICE, to deal with the situation at a local level. Now, under Donald Trump, all these sanctuary cities, as they are called, places like Miami, Florida, and Fort Lauderdale, who house a lot of Haitians and Jamaicans and other Caribbean migrants and immigrants, El Salvadoran, Dominicans. These places, some of them by law are hostile. However, there are pockets of communities in these cities. New York City, there are others who hide illegal immigrants, and a lot of the times some of these illegal immigrants are actually criminals as well. Additionally, once these criminals are out on the street, confirming their whereabouts is often time consuming and resource intensive. Many of our arrest targets are seasoned criminals who are savvy about eluding law enforcement. For instance, they will move from New York to Miami, Florida. Now, despite the severe challenges that local policies have created for ICE, we remain committed to our public safety mission, and we will continue to do our sworn duty to seek out these dangerous criminal aliens and other immigration violators. ICE seeks a straightforward cooperation with all local law enforcement and elected officials. ICE deportation officers carry out targeted enforcement actions every day in locations around the country as part of the agency's ongoing efforts to protect the nation, uphold public safety, and protect the integrity of our immigration laws and border controls. ERO New York areas of responsibility includes the City of New York and the following counties of Dutchess, Nassau, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Suffolk, Sullivan, Ulster, and Westchester. That's a lot of ground to cover. In saying all this, I say this in the video. Look forward for a wave. Look forward to a wave of Jamaicans heading back to the island of Jamaica. And not just Jamaica, but to other places. I only say Jamaica because most of the content we cover on this channel has to do with Jamaica or connected to Jamaica in some way, because that's my specialty. I myself, I'm a Jamaican, right? Just had to spell that out there and spoon feed it for some people. Why are you always talking about Jamaica? Why it doesn't happen anywhere else? There's a specific reason. But we know that thousands of people are about to be deported, and a lot of them are actually people with criminal records. Not all persons about to be deported are criminals, but a great portion of have some kind of criminal record to their name. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this one. I'll catch you on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.